Hello, everyone. Hope you are doing great. And let's dive into today's story titled Me, 27 male, with my soon to be fiance, 30 female, together for 2 years, thinks I tricked her with fake good looks. So I was planning on proposing to my girlfriend of 2 years. I am an engineer making over 100K a year. I was extremely blessed to be able to get a full ride and have my parents support me through college and finish with an engineering degree right on time. I was able to land a successful job shortly thereafter and quickly raise the ranks with a high-paying salary. Well, high school was a tough time for me. I had really bad teeth. So bad, because of the way they were placed, I chipped my teeth through natural chewing motions. I also had cystic acne with pits of scars left over. I was also very scrawny. After having this engineering job, I invested heavily into myself. I was treated with braces, had the chipped teeth fixed and filled, bleached, and had extensive skin treatment through laser resurface surgery and top-of-the-line facial creams with Botox on my forehead only. I also got heavily into working out with a top-of-a-line food regimen with a personal trainer. With my Hollywood smile, almost perfect skin, and good physique and good job, it was rather easy to land this great-looking girl. Well, my mother had a candid photo that I hate, and my girlfriend saw it. They were reviewing baby photos and me in high school. I have a glaring, crooked teeth smile with horrible skin and a face full of the worst acne you see online, specifically in one of the photos my mother was sharing. My girlfriend was horrified and said I have horrible genetics while on the drive home. She then went on to hypothesize that her children may look like that. She had perfect teeth growing up with no acne, and I feel she is really being superficial. She also made a comment about how I bought my looks, and she doesn't know how she feels dating someone who wasn't naturally good looking. We talked about marriage before. I even had her finger measured. A proposal was in the midst. Now I am either afraid she will say no, and even worse, if she is too judgmental of a person to be with, and we will have a horrible marriage. Needless to say, our interactions are different. She looks at me a little different, as if she is trying to see that true face I had. It has beaten up my self-esteem. She even referenced me being no different than a Kardashian. That was the low blow that had me shaking in rage. I always have great long talks about politics, technology, and I watch no TV. She, on the other hand, found out last year you can put aluminum foil in the microwave. Not to be rude, I just feel as if she doesn't have much room to talk. Another example is how she wants to see Hillary as president just to see a woman in the White House and Bill as the first husband. I don't care who she votes for, just have policies you can back them up with. Some of the things she says makes me take a long break and try to see if she is testing me or it's just some cruel joke. So am I fake? Did I trick her? Am I supposed to throw out a disclaimer on my bad genes? Edit. So I'm getting a lot of comments about me being superficial due to my comments about her looks. We met at a women's rights convention and we seemed to agree on a lot of social issues. I was raised by a single parent, mother and grandmother from time to time, and so I naturally gravitated towards social issues involving women. We clicked right off the bat. It worked out very well with the same hobbies, animals, and traveling. The great looks were a bonus. I didn't get all of these procedures to get a good-looking girl. I had self-esteem issues that led me to not even want to apply to jobs. In high school, I applied to a fast food restaurant, and the lady who handed me an application after asking for one literally folded the corner on the top. I guess this was some type of sign. I never made a big deal out of it. I never had a girlfriend in high school, but I would look in the mirror, and I knew my flaws, and what I wanted changed. I hope that clears up some things. Edit 2. The whole thing about the microwave was just an example about the hypocrisy on her values. She may have the natural good looks. I wouldn't be judgmental to her and demean her like how she did to me. I did a typo. She didn't know she could not put metal in the microwave because the outside was metal. Tell her you also don't want her dumb genes in your kids. Now to the update, I received a lot of good help. The issue turned into a fight, and it even got worse. She found out I had LASIK performed. I forgot to mention that in my last post. She found out and said that was the cherry on top. I told her that she was acting extremely superficial and we needed to take some time apart. She didn't even act hurt or upset. She seemed like this was what she wanted. I didn't find out until it was too late, but she took a picture of the photo while with my mother. She claimed she wanted to keep the photo as a keepsake. After we broke up, I decided to snoop a little and looked at her Facebook. Everything is private, and only a few certain little posts are made visible. She posted a photo of me in high school and wrote, "Ladies, it's never too late to cut your losses. Your future children will thank you for making the right choices in a partner." This completely floored me. This was a breach in my privacy and childhood. Public shame and admonishment was taken to the max. I called her up and my number was blocked. I sent her an email asking her to take it down. No reply. I called her parents and told them about the situation, and they said they couldn't see the post, and I told them it could just be some privacy setting she has. I check again, and now I am completely blocked. It just shocks me how she can go to this level of shaming when I did nothing to her. It freaked her out that our children would have glasses and braces. I have been pretty good moving on. The good news is I saved a lot of money on a ring. TLDR. We broke up, but not before some public shaming went down. Looks like she's asking to be sued. If I was him, I'd sue the crap out of her. And next story. My boyfriend cheated in front of me but claims he was just joking. Me, 21 female, and my boyfriend, I'll call him Ryan, 21 male, were at a college party together 2 nights ago. Just for context, me and Ryan have been dating for 2 months, and there were around 100 people at the party. I was having fun drinking and hanging out with my friends, but overdid it a little and felt dizzy. I asked Ryan to sit down with me on the couch while I drank some water. He said sure. While we were sitting, Ryan's best friend, I'll call him Jake, came over and was talking to Ryan. I don't know how we got to the topic, but Jake dared Ryan to suck his D. They both were laughing and looked at me for a reaction. I still didn't feel good and thought they were just goofing around, so I just sat there listening. Ryan then said, "Okay then, I'll do it." Jake unzipped his pants and Ryan started sucking his D. That only lasted for a few seconds. They both laughed and high-fived, and then Jake zipped his pants up and walked away. I was so stunned and disoriented in the moment, I didn't say or do anything. Soon afterwards, we went home and I immediately went to bed. Yesterday, I woke up and remembered what happened and asked Ryan why he would do that. He said it was just guys being guys and doing silly party dares. I mentioned that it felt like cheating in a way, and he said I was overreacting because it was just a joke. He seemed annoyed and shut down the conversation. I'm home now and don't know how to feel. I'm not even mad. I'm just so confused what to make of this. I haven't told my friends about this yet because I feel kind of embarrassed. Any advice would be helpful because I'm just not sure what to do. No straight guy would do that. Even if he doesn't think it's cheating, it's still disrespectful. And the update, after 5 hours, I broke up with Ryan. He was really annoyed at me and doubled down that he is just a funny guy who goofs around with his friends like that. I didn't want to argue too much, just insisted we're done dating. Thanks to everyone who left helpful comments, I was so shocked and in my head about the situation. I guess I wasn't thinking of the big picture. I don't want to even try working things out with a cheater. Also, I have an appointment this week to get an STI test. I'm strict about using protection, and this story is the only evidence I have of cheating, but I want to be really safe just in case. Thank you to everyone who posted funny comments too. I'll admit, some of you made me laugh. Some of my friends are on their way over for a boxed wine girls night. After I debrief them on the breakup, I'll have to show them this post and some of the funny comments. It's better to laugh than to cry, lol. What's so funny about sucking your friend's sausage in front of everyone? And next, the third story titled, My Fiance's Ex-Wife Has Cancer. He's moved in with her and postponed our wedding. Some background. OP is 26 female, her fiancé is 28 male, her fiancé's ex-wife is 28. Now to the main story. Max and I dated for 2 years and have been engaged for 9 months, with the wedding date set for early January. We have a healthy, honest relationship, and I've never had any reason to doubt him. He and Caroline were high school sweethearts who married very young. They were both 22, right out of college. They divorced after 2 years. Max told me that they got married too quickly and didn't realize how different their relationship would be in the real world. That is when they were both working full-time jobs and struggling to pay the rent. They split up on good terms but didn't keep in touch. He remained in our home city while she pursued a modeling career and began traveling extensively. 3 months ago, Caroline contacted Max over Facebook out of the blue, saying she was in town and wanted to meet for coffee. He agreed. Over coffee, she told him that she had recently been diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. Her odds of survival were low, but she was determined to fight it through surgery and chemo. She said that all she wanted was for Max to be by her side throughout her treatment. Caroline's parents died shortly after she married Max. She has no siblings, and the rest of her family lives overseas. She described Max as the closest thing to family she has left. I absolutely sympathize with Caroline. The next day, Max had her over to our apartment, and she was completely lovely, clearly trying very hard to be optimistic, even in the face of her life potentially ending before she turns 30. I feel terrible for her and for the situation that she's in, and I fully supported Max being there for her. Her first surgery was later that month. Max flew across the country. We live on the East Coast, she's on the West, and checked into a hotel a few minutes from her apartment. He's a writer, so working from his laptop is no issue. We spoke on the phone or on Skype almost every day for the 2 weeks he was over there. Caroline had her surgery at the beginning of June. Unfortunately, it was not entirely successful. Her doctors moved to the next method, chemo. Max came home after her surgery to tell me this. He explained that Caroline's treatment plan was set to begin in July and end in late January. It would be an incredibly difficult time period for her, and she wanted him with her at all times. We can't afford to pay for a hotel until January, so he moved into her apartment, sleeping on her sofa. He's been there for the past month, and we continue to Skype, though only a couple times a week now. When we spoke yesterday, Max gently told me that based on Caroline's condition, he wouldn't feel right leaving her so close to the end of her treatment. He'd like for us to postpone the wedding until February, at the very least, so that he can stay with her until her treatment is over. I'm so conflicted. I feel awful for resenting Caroline at all. She has cancer. She's suffering immensely. But the resentment is still there. I resent her for needing Max constantly holding her hand, as though she has absolutely no friends of her own. I resent Max too for agreeing to this situation. We won't be seeing each other in person for months now, on top of our wedding being postponed. I don't know what to do. I have no idea how I'm supposed to feel. Right now I'm just full of anger and guilt, and I don't know how to explain it to anyone else in my life. Edit. Everyone seems to be in agreement that this is a completely inappropriate, if incredibly sad, situation that Max isn't handling very well. I'll speak to him either tonight or tomorrow, whenever we Skype next, and tell him in no uncertain terms that I want him to come home. From there, we can decide what to do, since I don't want to leave Caroline high and dry. But him living there until February is out of the question. OP, he's still not over his ex. Now to the update. First off, thank you all so much for your advice and words of support. I spoke to Max this morning. I told him that as terrible as I feel for Caroline, I don't want him living over there until February. I suggested that we brainstorm some sort of schedule that allowed him to continue visiting her, even postponing our honeymoon and using that money to fund his plane tickets. Several commenters brought up her moving over here for treatment, so I mentioned that as well, offering up our spare bedroom. I emphasized that I didn't fault him for wanting to help an old loved one in what could be her final days, but that I couldn't help but feel marginalized, especially so close to our wedding. Max didn't speak very much, just listened while I rambled on. When I couldn't think of anything else to add, I asked him to please say something. So he told me the truth. Caroline was never stage 4, she was stage 2. He assured me that the rest of his story is true. Caroline asking him to be with her, the initial surgery being unsuccessful, her chemo treatment plan, etc. But apparently her chances of survival are far greater than he led me to believe. Max said he lied because he felt it was the only way I could understand his need to be with her. He thought that if her situation seemed less dire than literal life or death, I wouldn't agree to him essentially moving across the country for her. He admitted to telling her that our wedding had been postponed to next August, giving her the impression that him being away until February would be no problem. He has also been the one insisting on remaining by her side. After her surgery, she had given him permission to return home, saying that it wouldn't be fair to pressure him into living with her throughout her entire chemo treatment as much as she would have liked him there. He refused to leave. He told her that I supported this decision fully. Max swears that he's not in love with her still, but I just can't believe that. He lied to my face. Before she visited our apartment back in May, he warned me not to mention her being stage 4 as she was still extremely sensitive about it. And I completely bought into that lie. I trusted him. He put his past with her over his future with me. I'll be spending the next few months apartment hunting and canceling wedding plans. Thank you all for your kind words. TLDR. Confronted fiancé. He misrepresented his ex-wife's illness so that he could spend time with her. It's over. Edit. I'm blown away by the outpouring of support I'm receiving. I wish I could respond to each of you individually. Thank you so much. This is a wonderful community, and I truly appreciate all of your thoughts. I hope OP left that cheating scumbag. Good thing he showed his true colors before they got married. And now to the fourth story. I, female 28, found a child's shirt in the belongings of my fiancé, male 33. I'm sorry if this is long and all over the place. I met my fiancé when we dated as kids in middle school. We reconnected about 2 years ago after living life separately and meshed so well that we decided to just take the jump. His family lives in Texas. We originally lived in Minnesota, with his mother not doing well, so we moved down here to be close. My fiancé has a 2-bedroom house that he purchased when he first learned of his mother's condition. This was about a year ago. At first, after we realized we wanted things long-term, he would fly back and forth every couple of weeks or so until I asked him to just stay with me. He had no intention of moving back, and it was kinda, you move here or we do long-distance situation. He did not explicitly tell me that, but that is just what I gathered from our situation. After a time of thinking, I quit my job and moved to be with him. I have been here officially for 40 days. Just a bit of backstory. When looking for something in the garage last week, I found a pair of baby-sized Nike shoes. I asked him who they belonged to, and he said he had no idea. I thought nothing of it at the time and just tossed them. 2 days ago, when going through the hamper to do our laundry, I found a small pink bluey t-shirt, probably the size of a 5 or 6-year-old's. I immediately remembered the shoes and my mind started to race. I admit I assumed the worst, that he's hiding a kid from me, and blew up a bit, accused him of lying to me. I started to get emotional and things of that nature. An argument ensued after I didn't believe him when he swore he had no idea where these things came from. He is an only child, so no nieces. The only family he really talks to here are his parents. He offered no explanation other than simply insisting he has no idea. I pretty much shut down after realizing we were getting nowhere and have spoken maybe 10 words to him since then. He is not pushing me either. It feels like I'm just here. Since yesterday, I've been filled with despair and regret about moving here, and I'm not even sure if I should be. I guess I'm just curious how I can go about this. The mere thought of apologizing for my blow-up and trying to rectify things when he is secretly lying to me about something like that just makes my stomach churn. I don't at all hope or even want to believe that is the case. He has never given me any reason to feel like this, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. And the update, not sure I'm formatting this right, but I just wanted to update for those still messaging me and commenting. This is probably anticlimactic for most of you, and in hindsight may be obvious, but please refrain from the negativity or I told you so's in the comments. Trust me, I've beaten myself up enough. Nothing can be said that I haven't already thought of myself. Someone here suggested I mention getting cameras to him and gauge his reaction. Thank you so much if you're reading this. I lost you in the sea of comments, lol. He was very against it, and immediately jumped to the conclusion that I was trying to catch him in something. A reaction that took me by surprise. After that, I said, F it, and went through his phone. Another popular suggestion. Something neither of us had ever done since knowing each other. I'd watched him put in the code from the corner of my eye and then went through it when he slept. I found a woman he's been calling and answering calls from while working, maybe every other day. After my hand stopped shaking, I called from my phone and asked who she was. She asked who I was, and I told her I'm his fiancé. She told me she's the mother of his kids and that he's the father of 2 boys and a girl, ages 10, 7, and 5, that they met in college and have been on and off since then, but they're currently just co-parenting, an obvious lie. She then told me she was told about me, that he said I was pregnant, and that I pretty much moved here at random against his will. He told her I was just a crazy one-night stand while they were on a break, and he was just trying to co-parent, basically playing the role of the heroic father to a fake baby, trying to do right, when in reality he's just a psychotic piece of crap. She seemed more relieved that I wasn't pregnant than anything, but that's her issue. I told her about the shirt, and she said her kids spent the weekend. Another lie because no one has even been here since I moved in. She didn't even seem to care that he hid his own children from a woman he was going to marry. Anyway, he doesn't know, but I'm leaving. I'll be using my little savings to get home and stay at a motel until I'm on my feet again. Thankfully, when I left my job, my boss said I was always welcome back. My flight is in 2 days. Also, I probably shouldn't have, but I broke his phone too and said I accidentally spilled water on it, because about an hour after I called the girl, she texted him, "Call me," and I panicked. I assume she plans to tell him that I know even though I asked her not to. It hurts, and I've been evaluating everything, every conversation we've had, every little piece that hasn't added up. One thing I will say, although he never begged me to move or anything, we did have numerous conversations about the possibility. A month before I moved here, he acted so excited and even sent me a bunch of job listings in the area. I definitely did not stalk him at all, but he clearly wants his baby mama if he concocted this whole psycho fairy tale to sell her, so I'm honestly and truly done. Just trying to remain calm and sane until I'm up and out of his life for good. This whole time, he hasn't even asked why I'm not talking to him either. Thankfully, I guess, because I wouldn't know what to say. I know he's a garbage parasite, but that just hurts even more. It's like I really was nothing this whole time, uprooted my whole life for nothing more than a singular month of playing wife. Now I have to pick up the pieces and repair them all on my own, while his life stays unchanged and he's happy with his family. So yeah, this was probably more of a vent, but at least you guys can stop wondering. This has all happened within the last 48 hours, so I'm still collecting myself emotionally. I do appreciate all the support and advice. And to any women currently feeling like something isn't adding up, please trust your gut the first time. Ignoring it will never work out in favor of the relationship. This guy's insane. He really thought he could hide a whole secret family. I'm sure he was trying to baby trap OP. Glad she got out in time. And the last story before we wrap this up. Today I effed up by accidentally becoming my client's wife's boyfriend. This happened a couple months back, but I saw a skit online that was scarily similar to what actually happened to me in real life. For context, I'm a divorce attorney. Been practicing for about 8 years now, mostly family law stuff. Generally pretty routine work. People want to untangle their lives. I help them do it legally. Everyone moves on. Let's flash back to last March. I took on what seemed like a straightforward dissolution case. Client I'll call Dave. Nice enough guy, been separated from his wife for over a year, just wanted to make it official. Nothing complicated, decent retainer, figured we'd have it wrapped up in a few months. Dave seemed reasonable, not one of those vindictive types trying to burn everything down out of spite. Around the same time, I'd been seeing this woman Sarah for a couple months. I met her at a coffee shop near my office and it really hit off. She mentioned going through a divorce, but I didn't pry. Not exactly a first date conversation, you know? She had a different last name from what was in my client files, so when I ran my conflict checks, nothing flagged. Everything was going great with Sarah. Really great, actually. We were taking things slow, but it was heading in a good direction. Until we scheduled the first four-way settlement meeting. I walk into the conference room with Dave, chatting about keeping things amicable, and there's Sarah sitting across the table with her attorney. I literally just stopped mid-sentence. My briefcase slipped right out of my hands and hit the floor with this loud thud. Sarah went completely white. Dave looked back and forth between us for what felt like an eternity, and I could see the exact moment it clicked for him. "Are you effing serious right now?" he says, not shouting, but definitely not pleased. Sarah started tearing up. Her lawyer looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. I'm standing there feeling like the biggest moron in legal history. I had to immediately excuse myself with Dave. Guy was understandably pissed. Started grilling me. How long had this been going on? Did I know who she was? Was this some kind of setup to screw him over? I'm trying to explain that I'd been dating his wife for a couple months without having any clue who she was. He didn't buy it at first. "What kind of lawyer doesn't ask basic questions?" he keeps saying. I had to pull out my intake notes to prove the name thing, show him how the conflict check works, and basically convince an angry client that I'm incompetent rather than malicious. Took about 20 minutes before he finally believed it was just spectacularly bad luck. Even then, he's shaking his head, muttering about how effed up this whole situation is. I explained I'd have to withdraw from his case and help him find new counsel. There's no getting around it. I've got a personal relationship with the opposing party, which makes it impossible for me to represent him properly. By the end, he'd calmed down enough to say, "This is the weirdest goddamn thing that's ever happened to me." Still wasn't happy about starting over with a new lawyer, but he understood why it had to happen. The paperwork was a nightmare. Had to file a motion to withdraw since we were already in litigation, transfer all his files, and deal with refunding unused fees. Sarah and I didn't speak for 2 weeks after that meeting. We were both mortified. Her attorney spent forever trying to convince himself this wasn't some elaborate scheme. Even though nobody intended for this to happen, it was still my screw-up. Should have had better procedures to catch conflicts like this. Doesn't matter that it was an accident. You mess up the conflict check, you deal with the consequences. Dave texted me a few weeks later, but it wasn't friendly. More like, "Hope you realize this completely effed up my timeline." Can't say I blame him. And just to add insult to injury, my malpractice insurance premium went up when I had to report the conflict. In the comments, someone asked OP, "I mean, you did waste a lot of his money on whatever time you spent that the new lawyer would have to redo. Did you and Sarah at least continue dating afterwards?" OP. Sarah used another name socially that Dave had not disclosed. Her file had her legal name. Our check didn't catch it, and I didn't connect the dots. Her and my relationship was less emotionally involved, to keep it brief. I've been overworked and dealing with more than a full caseload. Yes, I could have done better at preventing this from happening. This was a major screw-up. On her end, I don't think she knew based on her reaction as well as her being a workaholic too. Pretty much all communication had been directly between me and her counsel. No, she and I did not continue seeing each other for obvious reasons. Also, made a throwaway specifically so this would not be traced back to me or my firm. Another comment, I'm a divorce attorney and am single. When I meet men who are getting divorced / have ongoing parenting plan matters, I ask who their attorneys are. I don't even want to come close to a situation like this. This is a real screw-up. It's also a screw-up on her part. She should have seen your name on paperwork. It's Sarah's fault. All of this could have been avoided if she used her real name. And now, to the update after 2 months. So it's been about 7 months since the conference room incident. and people have been asking what happened. Short answer, it's been a mess. About 3 weeks after I withdrew from Dave's case, I got called into a meeting with the senior partners. 3 partners, our firm's general counsel, and a representative from our malpractice carrier on video call. The managing partner slides a folder across the table. Opposing counsel reported a conflict of interest issue to the state bar under Rule 8.3. We've been notified of a disciplinary inquiry. Dave's new attorney filed the report. They don't get to decide what happens. They just report potential violations and the bar takes it from there. I have to explain everything. How I met Sarah, how we'd been casually dating for a couple months, how she used a different name socially, how my conflict check on her legal name didn't flag anything because I never connected the dots. The general counsel is taking notes. Walk me through your conflict check process. I explained the intake procedures, how the system works, how Sarah's legal surname didn't match what she'd told me. It sounds worse when I say it out loud. This is a clear model Rule 1.7 A2 issue, material limitation conflict, the general counsel says. You were correct to withdraw under Rule 1.16, but we need to understand how this wasn't caught earlier. The malpractice carrier rep unmutes. We'll need to document this as a circumstance that could lead to a claim. It'll be noted when your policy comes up for renewal. Great. The firm mandates that I complete an 8-hour CLE on conflicts of interest before taking any new client intakes. They've already registered me for a seminar that Saturday. 8 a.m., of course. I showed up at a hotel conference room with about 20 other attorneys. One of the instructors is Patricia, a divorce attorney I've opposed a few times. She definitely knows why I'm there based on the look she gave me. Most of the morning is standard material, rules, case law, procedures. Then we get to case studies and Patricia brings up In re Johnson, a 2019 disciplinary matter. An attorney representing a divorce client starts dating someone, turns out to be the opposing party, discovers it at a settlement conference. Same exact situation as mine from 6 years ago in a different state, and I wanted to sink through the floor. At lunch, another attorney mentions he heard about something similar happening at a firm in town recently. Doesn't know it's me, but clearly the story's getting around. I finish the seminar, pass the exam, and bring the certificate back to the firm. A few weeks later, the bar sends a letter. The inquiry is closed with a private caution, basically a warning that stays in their files but isn't public discipline. Could have been worse. My malpractice premium went up about 15% when it renewed in September. The carrier cited the reported disciplinary circumstance in the renewal letter. The firm implemented some new procedures for me specifically. For the next 6 months, I have to get conflicts pre-cleared by the general counsel before taking on any new client. They also added mandatory AKA nickname fields to our intake forms and conflict check system. The worst part isn't the official stuff, though. It's what people know. Not everyone, but enough. I've been called the coffee shop lawyer twice at bar events. Last month, opposing counsel asked if I'd met the other party before, with this look on her face. The story's definitely circulating. Some versions have me engaged to Sarah. One has me not finding out until trial. It's becoming one of those cautionary tales people tell each other. Haven't dated anyone since March. Deleted the apps. Before I did, I matched with someone who mentioned her divorce and I immediately asked who her lawyer was. She unmatched pretty quickly, can't really blame her. Dave, if you see this, I'm sorry, man. I really didn't know. I hope things worked out okay for you. Sarah, hope you're doing well. Everyone else, just ask the basic questions. Run proper conflict checks. Verify AKAs. It's not worth it. OP, it wasn't your fault. Happy you got out of it mostly unharmed. And with that, we will wrap up today's video. Dear viewers, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss out. See you next time. Bye-bye.